We want to look now at the chords for the song This Is Amazing Grace. Now, this song has 4 chords that we'll look at, and how we arrange and use them is going to vary a little bit. Most of our work is going to have to come into the chorus, where we've got this melody and lead line that we play. Now, just a note on this, this is actually something that in the original recording and what you'll hear oftentimes is done by a synth lead. And so it's a little different than a piano sound or acoustic piano sound, but you can mimic this and play it also on the piano, and we'll look at that line specifically. Now there's another line that is played by a synth in the intros and in between the choruses going back to the verses as well. We'll look at that, but oftentimes what we're going to do is a little more simple when it comes to the acoustic piano because it moves a little faster. So let's begin to break this apart. The 4 chords that we have is G, and then a C2, E minor, and D. Those are the 4 that we're going to learn. So let's make sure we've got the notes for that quickly. A G chord, we're going to have G, B, and D. And often to play this, we're actually going to add another G up top, and we're going to use our right hand and actually spread out over all 4 of those notes. Here's the little trick though, we're going to leave out this one right here, the B, and that's where our 3rd finger, the 3rd note of the chord, if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to leave that out and play this big spread of a G, D, G, okay? So oftentimes our G's are going to be played in that manner, except for the bridge, and we'll look at that. So G chord, we've got that, we play the octave spread, come back to it. Now a C2 chord. C2 means that we're going to play a C, a D, and a G together. C2. So instead of the normal E that we have for a C major chord, we play the 2, the D right here. That's the 2nd note up the order of the notes for the chord. So C, D, G. And then we're going to go to an E minor. So our E minor is going to be at E, G, and B. So you notice we're kind of just moving up notes that we already used for C. E minor right there. And then the last one is a D chord. D, F sharp, A, D, F sharp, A. Now, we're going to play these in different inversions or different shapes. We already looked at the G like that. What we can often do with our C2 chord is we're just kind of taking those 3 notes of the C, D, and G, and we're going to play them in a different spread or different manner. And so what you can do is add another G down below. Look at this, looks like our G that we just did before, but if I play a bass note of C like that, what I'm playing by the combined notes is a C2. So C, G, there's my D way up high, and then another G. Put it all together, it's a C2 chord, all right? And then for a E, if I actually keep that shape and play an E bass note, change my bass note underneath, I am playing the notes of partially an E minor 7. Now, not to get technical about it, but I can keep my right hand in the same shape and not play the normal B of that B chord, just move my bass note, and very simply, I'm still replicating a lot of the sound, a little more color by keeping that D in there, but I've got an E minor. And then to play my D, I can go to this. This is actually a D sus sound if I keep it that way, but a D bass note and then A, D, and keep that high G kind of ringing out. So to do all those notes again was a G just like that, the G5, and then keep it in the same place to play my C, and then yes, keep that right hand the same for an E, moving my bass note, and then I maybe switch up from the G with my thumb, shifting up 1 to the A. All right, there we go. Now that we've shown the chords for the intro and the verse, and we'll look at the chorus again, like I said, coming back to it, since it's a bit more of a melodic line that we'll play, very arranged. We want to look also at the bridge specifically right now because it simplifies a little of what our hands does, and it's a simpler section in its movement. The dynamic comes down a lot. So you play that the last 2 chords of the chorus on Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. So that's an E minor. And I'm just playing fifths in the bass. So I'm playing an actual bass note of E, and then I'm adding the fifth above that, the B, combining that. So I'm not even playing the full chord in my right hand as well. So E minor, Jesus I sing for, and there's the D right there. All that you've done for me. And so to land that right there, what I'm doing is a fifth in my bass note. I'm coming to that G chord, and I'm going to roll down the notes of a G and add in this A. So that little motion right there is accomplished by playing G, B, D, you know, root position G in my right hand, and I'm adding the second, the A, and just kind of very quickly walking down those 4 notes. And so it's a timing thing to really work on and make precise, but you can bring down what was a very high level of energy to just a nice resting motion on the G chord. Okay, so then we go into the next one, which is a C2, and we're not going to move our hands at all. We can actually just keep it right there, play a single bass note. Your fingers are already there in the left hand. So there's your C, and then same idea of motion, not as many notes, but of the C2 chord that I'm closest to, really as a second inversion. The C is right there, but I've got the 2, the D, and the G. So rocking back and forth between these 2 chords, the G and the C. So here's my G, okay, and then go to the C2. And however you can break that apart makes it a little more nice. And since it's not as many notes, it's a little more challenging to do. And so back and forth on this. And so it's not until you get to the E minor that you start to build up dynamic again. But really what you can do is simply play, you know, even an octave bass note or a single E bass note. Keep that G shape in your right hand. You combine these notes, and it's a technique we've looked at before. E, G, B, D. Put it all together. You've got an E minor 7 that you're playing. So you can, you know, accomplish with playing very little movement in your right hand. Now you're E minor. So worthy is the Lamb that was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Okay, and go to the D. Then you're back to the chorus, and you've really rounded out the chords and the shapes, at least, that you'll use harmonically for this song. And we'll take a look at the choruses, like I said, specifically, which are a bit more arranged and a bit more of a lead melody for that.